So I made the toughest decision in my life for the past 6 months, which was I received two offers. First, from I've been offered to be in the team of Brahim's Food in Subang Jaya, which is I've been appointed to be one of the head of department in food development department. And also the second offer that I received was I've been offered to pursue my master's in gastronomy in UiTM Shah Alam. So I guess both are the big deal for me. Both are, quite big deals for me at the same time coming in. So what I did was, I as a kid, so I asked my mother what's the best, whatnot. And so at the end of the day, I made my decision, I made my mind. So I accept to be in the Brahim's Food team, but at the same time I pursue my master's in gastronomy in UiTM Shah Alam. But I did it in a part-time, so it's been 6 months now. So yeah. Alright, so I did the biggest or the major mistake that I made last week. Actually, I had a miscommunication with my staff, my workers in my office, which is they made a mistake in my department, which is there is a shortage in a production team. So out of the blue, I just scream and yell at them just because of because of that reason, which is, positively, it actually makes no sense to yell or scream at them in front of the others. So what I did to correct it is just that, I bring them in my office. I apologize first. I apologize to them. I clarify things. Number two, and number three, that they just accept my apologies, and I told them that I have a very bad day at that day. So they understood. So we had a very fine relationship after that. So for the past 2 weeks, I really got upset with one of my staff in my office, in my department. His name is Ismail. So what he did wrong was he came up late to the office. So I observed him that he always came up late for almost 1 week now. So one day, so I bring him to my office and ask him what's going on, why you always came up late, just to know things, what happened. And at the end of the discussion, he told me that his mother was sick. His mother just had a major operation, so that he came up late to the office just because he need to manage his mother first, and then only he can show up to the office. So just to say that you don't make bad assumption to the people. You have to investigate first, observe, and then came up with the conclusion or your own perception about somebody. In some point in my life, I think when I do things right, or you have the right solution, the right method, you will always want it to apply it, and you want the problems not to be solved. But it's different in a workplace. I know that I have some experiences with my superior. So that if you had these problems, and how to solve it and how to fix it, so because you have the more bosses and more manager and superior up you, so you have to follow them, you have to really consult with them first. And and that's always a very good thing, because you have to really consult with them first, and then always go for the right hierarchy and direction and guidelines, so that we can discuss with the superior, so that we're able to solve the problems. Yeah. To me, it's a very good question, because I think personally you don't want to get messed up when it comes to work. You have to get your job done, and then only you can go back home. So I always practice and always do that. When I was in office, I have to really, you know, get my job done, even it's 5 p.m. already. So you really get to you get everything done first, and then only you can punch, and then you can get out from the office. I think that's always I always practice that. Thank you. When you talk about motivation, when you are about to give motivation to other people or other stuff, you have to motivate yourself first. So I have to motivate myself first, and then only that I can motivate myself. So in my case, in my department, in my office, what I did was, I don't really spare specific or a specific time to give a motivation for them. So whenever they are, wherever they are, I always give a motivation. For example, I always remind them to be very disciplined in their work, always be on time, always get your job done, and also well prepared in everything that you did. And at some point, I think when I motivate them, I think that it's like a reminder for me to always motivate me as well. So yeah. You are not lack with a problem with human being as well. So so I always has problem. It might be your boss, your managers, your superior, whatever. But in my case, if I had a problem with my boss, I always find a very good solution or good method on how I deliver or how I raise the issue with my boss, especially when it comes to something that very uncomfortable. So in myself, I always has this precaution before I go talk to my boss. Number one, I always be prepared with my manners. You don't want to get messed up with them. And number two, you always speak nicely with them, but at a certain time, you want your problem to be solved. So always speak nicely. Maybe you can discuss with them on how problems can be solved, and I think that should be fine. Always discuss and always find a solution. Me, how many goals that I set, so I want to achieve it, but in order to achieve the goals, so I have to plan for it, I have to prepare for it. And so in my case, I already set my goals in certain times, in framework or frame time. So let's say for the first 6 months, I already achieved one goals, which is I did some new innovative recipes, which is it calls dried eat yolk powder. This is the new recipes for hotelier and all kitchen department all over the world. This is meant for to simplify the cooking recipes, and at the same time also to reduce cooking time. And the gist or the main point that I want to say is that the goal that you want to achieve is not as simple as you think. For me, I always spare some time, always do some frame time, and always has to work hard for me to be able to achieve the goal. I think that's an interesting question. In order to achieve goal, you have to plan for it. So for example, an entrepreneur want to be a businessman someday. So in my case, in my industry, if I set the goal, so I want to achieve it. But let's say if I didn't get the opportunity to really achieve my goal, I mean, you know, that's okay for me. That's a learning experience, a learning process for me. So that if, let's say, you know, actually you can get something from the fail experience, you know, so that you are able to, you know, try again for the next, you know, day and next time. So, but the most important thing is for you to be able to get up real quick and do it again and again and again. So that's the recipes, you know. Always, you know, don't, it's okay for you to feel down at some point, but the most important thing, you have to really, I have to really get up real quick and do it again, and you know, and might be one day I, you know, able to achieve my goal. Yeah.